Howdy everyone, this is Trisha and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I began to create these basic round handmade bows. So there's 3 ways that you can start them up and I'm going to show you how. So let's get to crafting. Here I have 3 different ribbons. They're all 2.5 inch wide. They're all wired edge and each of them is 3 yards each. I'm going to start by showing you how to start the first handmade basic bow. Alright, so here we have 3 yards of ribbon once again, and I've got a 12-inch piece of chenille stem or pipe cleaner, and this we're going to use to tie up our ribbon or bow. And if we don't have that, we can also use a floral wire. I also have my scissors, because of course we'll need scissors to cut our ribbon, whether it's cutting 3 yards off of a longer roll or also to do the ends of our little tails on our bow if we need to. So the first thing I do when I want to start a bow is I decide that I want a little tail, and I usually go about 8 inches of little tail here, about so much. And then I decide that the rest of my ribbon is going to be for some loops. And then I make sure that at the end I have at least another 8 inches or so of ribbon left over from another tail. So what we do is we just go ahead and we pinch it. And we always keep in mind the nice side of our ribbon or the right side of our ribbon. Depends on how it is on our roll. This particular ribbon, both sides can be the right side. But I'm going to just keep in mind that the outside here is the right side of the ribbon. And if I look at it carefully, this side has a nicer finish than this one. So I'm always going to make sure that this one is on top. So we're going to pinch it. Most of the times we do a little twist to start with. You don't have to do that, but I'm going to go ahead and do. Okay, so I'm going to start making my first loop, and your first loop all depends on what size you want your bow. So keep in mind that whatever size you have here, you're going to have to consider it for the other side. So that's going to be the size of your bow. About so big, which is about 8 inches in diameter, okay? So to do that, you need about 8 inches of ribbon to start with, so that you have a 4-inch length here. So then we're going to go ahead and pinch it right there, and then we're going to twist, because when we make our next loop, we always want the nice side up. So then we're going to bring this one and make our other loop, and what I do is I bring these 2 upward, and I match them up and adjust my ribbon so that they're the same length. So now I know that my loops are the same. So pinch it right there. Again, twist so the nice side is always facing up. And now that I've got these 2 loops, one going each way, I use those as my guide to do the rest of my loops. So pinch and twist. Loop, pinch, and twist. And I'll just keep making loops until I get almost to the end of my ribbon. Here we can see I've got 4 loops here, I've got 3 loops here. It doesn't matter how many loops you have on each side, because we're going to bring this around to form a round bow, which is our basic bow. But I happen to have enough here to do at least 1 more loop. So that's what I'm going to do. Just pinch it and twist it so you always have the nice side up. Grab your chenille stem, wrap around tightly. I usually push my loops like that. Twist my chenille stem and then twist the actual bow. And the reason that I do that is so that as I'm twisting it, the chenille is actually twisting over here and tightening this. Because if I just twist this, what's going to happen is this is going to get twisted together, but then my loop is going to be quite loose and my bow can get pulled apart. So just hold on to it like that and twist the bow or the fabric. Okay, so there we go. So we have the nice side up. We want to make sure this one that we turn it to its nice side up as well. And then we can open up our loops like so. Just spread them out. If you have an uneven number, like if you say I have 4 on one side and 3 on the other, just move them around so that you're created a circle here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is you're going to cut the ends of your ribbon here. You can either cut them straight, you can cut them at an angle, so you have a cut like that. It will look like that on the end, but I like to fold them in half and get right in the fold and go out towards the ends, cut it like a little triangle, and that makes a nice little dovetail end there on my tail. So I can do the same thing on the other side. I can actually leave this tail as long as it is, so I have 2 different lengths, or do it the same length. Let's just go ahead and, for the sake of this, we'll make it the same. You can trim it off. Again, from the fold upward, or if you're working from the edges, down into the fold. All right, so then all we have to do now is poof up our bow, make all our loops look really nice. And because it's wire edged, I can shape them. So it's always nice to have a wire edged ribbon to create our bows. Let me twist this one back here a little bit. It's a little too much to one side. Okay, so there we go. That is a beautiful handmade basic bow, and it is a round bow. And back here we have enough chenille stem because we didn't twist up this way. We twisted towards the bow. So we have all these little lengths here to tie onto a basket or wreath or whatever we may need it for. And now for the second way to start up a basic bow is we're going to do the same thing that we did before, but this time instead of starting with a tail, we're going to go ahead and start off with a loop. So I'm going to take about 1.5 inches here, or 2 inches even, and just pinch that right there and start creating our first loop. Again, you can do about 8 inches. You can go a little bit bigger. If you do, you're going to have less loops, and if you go a little bit smaller, you might have 1 extra loop. Okay, so I'm going to go about so much. And pinch and twist, so always having the nice side up. Bring my loops together. I need to give it a little more slack. There we go. Flatten them both so you make sure that you have the same lengths. There we go. Okay, pinch and twist. Okay, so we always have this nice side up. Okay, we're going to keep making bows, and we're going to keep making loops, and we're going to keep an eye on this to see where we're almost going to end so that we have enough ribbon at the end to create our little tails. So this is what I have left over. And you'll see here that I had 4 loops here, but only 3 on this side. I did go a slight bit longer on my loops than I did the other one. So that's why I was only able to get 4, because this is all I have left. And I want this for my tail. So I'm going to bring this end under here. You can pinch it up a bit here. Put it right there and create a big giant loop. So before we cut that to create our tails, we're going to get another chenille stem. And we're going to tie up, and we're going to do the same thing that we did with the first bow, and twist the bow. Okay, so there we are. So now I can take this longer loop, that's our tail. We can cut right into it. I just fold it. Start from the ends to make sure you're cutting off that fold to the center, downward, boop, and there we are. We've got our tails right there. So now we have our odd number of loops here. So now we're just going to round them out. And I like to flatten it to make sure that I fanned it out the way that I need to. If this is too long, you can go ahead and trim it there. Okay, so now bring our tails downward here. Make sure they're twisted with a nice side up. And now we can poof our bow. When you poof it up enough so that you hide this little bit here, or you can always glue a little ornament in there if you want. And there you go, a basic round handmade bow. And for our third and last way to create a round bow, again, 3 yards of ribbon. This time, instead of starting with a tail or starting off with our large loop, we're going to start off with a little round loop in the center of our bow. So we want to create this, for example. And I picked this ribbon because it has this little design, and I thought the little truck in the middle would be cute. So now I'm going to pinch it and twist. There we go. Let's hold it this way. And then create our first loop. I'm going to go a little bit smaller this time. Pinch and twist. We're going to make our next loop, bring them together to make sure they're the same length. And then pinch and twist. And again, you have these 2 ribbons going out each side, so now you use those to create the loops that are underneath them. So I like to flatten them out just to make sure that everything's as close to possible as I can do it. Again, we're going to make as many loops as we can, and this time we can choose to have tails or not have any tails at all. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4 loops so far. I've still got quite a bit. Let me try and get one more on each side. And that's good enough. And then I will make one big loop with this for our little tails. Or like I said, we don't have to have any tails at all. So we're also going to tie this up just like we did the other 2 with a chenille stem. Okay. And there we go, our third way to create a basic round bow, which is a handmade bow. Alright, so this was the first bow that I started off with a tail. And here's our second bow that I started off with a loop. And here is our third bow that I started off with a small center loop. They're all basic round handmade bows, and I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial on how you can create your own handmade bows and how you can start them off 3 different ways. And they all look pretty much the same. These 2 definitely look the same. This one just has this little extra little loop in the center, so this would be up to you on what you want your bow to look like. So I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up, and I hope that you too will give me a big old thumbs up. And please share this video on your social medias and leave a nice comment down below. Subscribe by hitting that red subscription button and then the little bell to notify you of when I load up my videos, and I try to do that twice a week. Alright everyone, I hope that you enjoyed my video and that you have a wonderful, safe weekend. So be kind to each other, and as always, enjoy.